In today's episode of Austin's Hot Takes, we're talking to Daniel Weiner, co-founder and CEO of HexClad, the data-obsessed entrepreneur.
You can prepare for cost increases, which is essentially what a tariff becomes. You cannot prepare for chaos. The American dream is about every one of us having the opportunity to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and be successful and have a better life for our kids.
Discover the raw reality behind the modern economy and how a CEO stays grounded while managing a high-scale workforce.
Hey, everybody. First time in a suit and tie on Hot Takes with Danny, founder, CEO of HexClad, co-founder, I guess, who's one of the best spoken folks everyone in the community loves hearing from whenever it takes time. So thanks for being here, Danny. Congrats on the success. It was an epic year. I love the cocktail shaker, by the way, and the pepper grinder. I love all the products, honestly.
I know you love your pepper grinder.
I love it. It's kind of ridiculous. But anyway, what's your hot take for me, Danny?
I'm angry, Austin. I'm angry.
What? The tariffs, right?
You know, like the bad dream that starts, and even if you wake up to pee in the middle of the night and then you go back to sleep and you go back into the bad dream, that's what this tariff situation is.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, when do I go into the good dream? Like I won the lottery dream. It's frustrating when, I don't care about your politics. I care about one thing, I care about, the American dream. And the American dream is about every one of us having the opportunity to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and be successful and have a better life for our kids. And the fact is, I don't care if you're red or you're blue, when you screw with that, the adults have to come back to the table and talk some sense into this. And it's time for this to be over. Playtime is over. Real work needs to begin.
Yeah. Yeah. Ken Griffin, we talked about it, the CEO of Citadel, he was talking about it today, just the harsh ramifications of tariffs. I think everyone's worried. I think, you called it early. I remember with our episode of Hot Takes, this is before tariffs even hit. Like you basically said, that's why it's fun to kind of circle back, and we've seen what happened. To be clear, the, stock market, there's a lot of great signs in the global economy. So, it's not like all doom and gloom, but I think it's easy to say when you're like us who've done okay outside of the tariffs, like still succeeding. But there are people, like you said, that are striving for that American dream and it's getting crushed. Right. Yeah. And there's a lot of people. Right.
For a lot of people, because the fact is, we wound up having a good year. We had significant growth again. I remember, I forget who the woman was at CNBC, but like back in October, she just had this comment where she's like, this year going into Q4, she's like, yeah, flat is the new growth. And I'm like, it's kind of true. Well, we still grew, which isn't like, I'm not trying to do this, but we worked hard and we're less profitable a little bit, a tiny bit. Like we were very good at cutting costs, but we cut, our media spend down. We were very strategic about how we allocated resources across the company. But we did a hiring freeze. We actually we had a workforce reduction at one point. The only time we've ever done it. It was a small one, but the fact is that's impacting people's lives. And we had a good thing going, and just like many companies, and we don't need our government to sabotage this, because right now, like many companies, fewer companies give December bonuses. They wound up doing year-end reviews, etc. A lot of companies, we do them like next week. A lot of companies do them in March. We're being very, very fair, borderline generous with people. But I will say this, I know I'm going to have people that are going to be surprised. Yeah. In a good way. And I know there's a lot of companies who are doing February and March bonuses where people are going to be shocked when they get a $50 Amazon gift card.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is, sometimes when you have a good overall economy, it can mask some of the sad stories that are in there. And that's kind of what we're talking about, is that it's nice to care about or talk about the companies doing well, but it's also really important to talk about the people that are struggling and that aren't seeing the kind of success that maybe we all are. Like when I say our cohort of successful companies, because we're all suffering in our own way. Like even, we've met with people who are like, hey, we have a freeze on everything, right? So we're, even for Northbeam, there are people that we want to work with, and there are people just pulling back and suffering. So even though the overall pie is doing well, there's all these sub stories underneath of people suffering.
Well, and there's multiple levels to this. And one of the main things, obviously, the tariff is a tax on the consumer, right? You can try to absorb it, which we've done for a while. Then, you have two ways to combat it as a business, right? You raise your prices or you employ shrinkflation. People can't take a 20-30% hit and stay in business.
Yeah.
So that's preparing for one thing. You try what you can do. What you cannot prepare, you can prepare for cost increases, which is essentially what a tariff becomes. You cannot prepare for chaos. You can't do it. So it's like to not know what's coming, for tariff of 25% one day and it goes to 50% 2 days later. Then it comes back down to 25%. Then it goes up to 75%. No one can run a business that way.
That's what Ken Griffin said. He, the CEO of Citadel, to repeat it, what he said was really exactly that in different words, but the same principle, which was, how do you prepare for your business budgets, long-term planning, if you literally don't know what your margins are going to be tomorrow, the next day, next month, right? And so from a planning purposes, and a company at your scale, that becomes critical, right? Because you're like, okay, we got a hiring plan. You're ordering inventory too, right? So there's so many moving parts that I'm not even aware of that you are.
Well, supply chains are built over years. Okay. You cannot change them because of the November midterms. They're not at the whims of politicians. You're taking years worth of planning and trying to replan it and then go back to the old plan and create new plan 2.0. It's unrealistic. And, and the thing is, you go, what's the real goal here? Is this a geopolitical play to reposition America and blah, blah, blah? People give it all different types of takes. Is it, is reshoring the goal? That's what they say, except a policy needs to be proactive and beneficial to the businesses, not punitive.
Right.
And this has been a punitive policy on these companies.
Yeah.
And you do not reshore manufacturing that way. Like we would have to build a factory from the ground up if we were to bring our main cookware manufacturing here. It would probably take a minimum 3 years, maybe 5 years. And by the way, and at the end of the 3 to 5 years, even with grants and tax credits, our product would probably go up about 30 to 35% in price. If for us, then we wouldn't make an extra dollar, by the way.
Yeah. It'd just be cost.
Yeah.
It'd be cost and time.
Yeah. So it's like, really, is that what the consumer's asking for? I don't remember conversations, whether it's with friends or families, whether they are like red or blue. Nobody's asking for tariffs at Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, I think look, I think at this point in time, we all just want stability, I think, is really the thing.
Well, and that's really it. And I think, if you're seeing former Trump supporters or donors who are like saying enough is enough, there's a lot of things going on in this world right now. And, I don't think creating our own economic insecurities is smart policy.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Ken Griffin really said it today. And, you know, you said it basically in a different way. And so I think, you know, whatever, I don't think it's a political issue for us. Well, for us, it's just a business issue, right? We're trying to.
Dude, is this that game that every time you see Ken's name, we're supposed to do a shot of tequila or something? Everybody, is she name dropper?
I know it's a name dropper, but I was kind of surprised at, you know, how frank he was about it, to be clear.
Yeah, listen.
So, yeah.
Well, look, you know, people like that need to be frank right now because they provide a level of leadership for because of the success that they've enjoyed.
Yeah.
You know, look, you and I are entrepreneurs, you know, we're CEOs, but you know, we're not
seeing what he's seeing.
Yeah. And,
you know,
and we don't have the impact, and we can tell, you know, we can yell and scream from the mountaintop, but, his voice is going to carry much farther. Right. So it is, I think it is good, you know,
yeah,
because it is like that, you know, the damage, the tariff is damage, but the real damage is unpredictability. And I'm like, I got it. You know, just like this, if I know the tariffs are gone, you know, could I give a little bit bigger bonuses? Maybe I could I say, you know what, we're going to up our hiring going, you know, right now, only essential hires, you know, none of the luxury hires right now, where a year ago, I'd be like, yeah, this will be better if we make this hire, even if it is considered, you know, a nice to have, not a have to have or need to have.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's, it'll be really interesting to see what happens. I think, even though it's, you know, I think our voices, hopefully, you know, we're part of the conversation, and if our overall, everyone in our cohort everyone has the same tune. I don't have anyone saying that you know, everyone's suffering from it. So,
well, they are, you know, like, you know, talking to Jason, and, you know, for anybody, you know, Jason fans are our president. He, nobody loves to get on the Twitter. Like Jason, see, he loves the network, man. You know, so he talks to all the guys. I don't take any phone calls. I treat every phone call like it's a scam likely. But
you pick up my calls, then?
No, I do. I'm joking. But he, you know, he's just talking to a lot of the guys, and, you know, everybody's struggling with this. This just isn't, you know, a HexClad problem. This problem, a lot of people have it, and we're in a lot better position than most people. So, you know, I'm bitching about it, but there are people that are waking up panicked in the middle of the night that they're going to lose their baby, you know?
Yeah. And you've been there, Danny. That's what I love about your story. I mean, you've come from, like, I mean, you came from the bottom, right? You were struggling. I mean, let's be real, right? Like, one of our other customers, I think you met him. He told me, Hudson, the CEO, right?
Yeah.
He was living in his car.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, like, you guys have been there at the brink. So that's why I think you have so much passion for the people that are struggling, which I really respect, Danny. That's great. And, you know, I think that's probably why it's so personal for you. 'Cause you know what it's like to be one of those people trying to, like, 'cause you were there, like, literally nothing. Right.
It's hard. Yeah. And I was that guy waking up panicked. I remember I was like, I remember, like, even when I needed more sleep, I remember going to bed. I would go up to my room at like 7:45 p.m. to go to bed, because I just knew I would wake up at 3 a.m. like in a panic attack, like, because I had so much to do, and, you know, and I couldn't raise money. And I know what that is. And that's like the risk of being a founder of something. And, you know, like, anybody who's done it, you know, we're not the luxury of, like, you know, I'm the smartest kid at Harvard, and I get to go in my first, you know, time to pitch some VC fund, and I walk out with a check. And now I, like, you know, was it like that? So, like, I get that panic, and that people are doing it now. They didn't think they were going to have those nights anymore, and now they're having them again.
Now they're having them. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for taking the time, Danny, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
See ya.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want more marketing hot takes, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to avoid missing any future videos.